The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right, enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
What? Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
They never say it's the hometown of Ray Guarendi. I'm just thinking I think it's just an oversight is all it is. First, before I say anything else, I got to congratulate the Guadalupe Radio Network. 25 years. Going from one station in Midland, Texas, now 47, serving Texas, New Mexico, Kansas, Alabama, Florida, and D.C., and Virginia. Toya Hall, Sammy Rodriguez, all you folks. I've been associated with you for a long time, spoken a lot at your events. Congratulations, absolutely wonderful. Matter of fact, I think I spoke at that first Midland fundraiser. It was a banquet 25 years ago, and I was shocked that Toya actually asked me to do it because I'm thinking, here I am, just graduating from high school, and she's calling me to do a talk there. Well, must have had a lot of faith in me. Congratulations, guys. Wonderful. 877-573-7825. That's the number to call to get onto the program. You will get Eric Dumont, the call screamer, who is also being producer man today as Andrew Kruchek is out for some family situations. Good luck, Andrew, with all that. 877-57-EQUAL. I'm a psychologist. That was my career. Somebody asked me just recently, what do you do? I said, well, I kind of mix it up. Mix it up between radio, television, writing, speaking, and I see private clients. Of course. Done that now all my career. Worked in mental health settings and Head Start programs, juvenile courts, state mental institutions, drug rehab programs, 15 school systems. So, yeah, I've been around, and now I get a chance to be with you. So if you have questions, circumstances in your life, perplexing you, bothering you, giving you trouble, not giving you trouble that you think should give you trouble, give me a call. We'll put our heads together, see what we can come up with, maybe a thought or two. It was interesting what happened yesterday. The phones were very quiet. And then I said, the lines are open. And within a minute, a rush of calls came in, which makes me think that a lot of people simply don't call because they think they're not going to get through. That's not true. They're not going to get through. They're not going to get through. That is not true. We have 9 lines. So we got plenty of room for plenty of folks to call at any time. 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number to call to get onto the program. Just a quick announcement, good Lord permitting, this Saturday at 6 o'clock, St. Mary's in Akron, Ohio. I've been at St. Mary's before, way back. Beautiful little parish, downtown Akron. 6 o'clock, they got a fundraiser, do some parish renovations and things, and I'll be delighted to be there. So if you'd like to come about, we'll be there. Gone to the Spaghetti Warehouse right before that with some of the staff. Get a chance to eat. Give them what they're paying me. I'm going to eat my money's worth. That's kind of the way it is. So if you'd like to join us, 6 o'clock. St. Mary's in Akron. Call Lucy. She's the one orchestrating this on that end. Had a number of calls regarding how to talk to children, maybe anybody, regarding the tragedy in Texas. How do you explain something like that? Well, you don't. That's the first thing you say. You don't. There are two things I've read, and I agree with this at some length. There are two things that really move people. One is they want certainty. They want to know. Being uncertain really bothers them. Sets them uneasy. And they also want a sense of belonging. They want to be isolated. We are social creatures. A sense of certainty is frustrated when you run up against tragedies. One thing to say about a tragedy like that is that prior to the last, lifetime? You want to go a lifetime? Yeah, I'd say lifetime. Back to maybe the beginning of radio. Mass communication that way. You wouldn't have known about that. You wouldn't know pretty much anything going on in the world outside your circle. Maybe word of mouth would get to you long after the fact, but for the most part, whatever sadness or tragedy or misery or frustration to your community was limited to your very small circle of reference. Now, we know what happens pretty much anywhere if it's nasty. If it bleeds, it leads, is the mantra of media. Remember the tsunami? Probably, I forget when that was, 7, 8, 9 years ago, tsunami. It killed 100,000 people. 100,000. You wouldn't have known about that. You wouldn't have been able to wrestle with, how does that happen? Why does God permit this? When you wrestled with that, it was like Job. Your own personal experience, because that's what you had. So how do you digest this? I can tell you how I've struggled with it. Obviously, the philosophers, ever since Job and well before. Some speculate, some scripture scholars speculate that Job is the first book written in the Bible. Why? Because it kind of reflects how people struggle with a good and loving God, but yet a world that functions like this. Now, one explanation for part of it, of course, is fallen human nature. We're sinful. If you could eradicate all sin, you'd eliminate an awful lot of suffering and turmoil. But you wouldn't eliminate all of it. 6-year-olds still get cancer. Car accidents still happen. People get ill. The world does nasty things. Tornadoes and floods. Avalanches. All kinds of stuff. So how do you account for this? For me, there's certain things I know. One, there is a God. 2, He loves me, and He loves you, and He loves everyone. He gave us Christ to show that. So we got that. We got God and loving God. Now, the other part of the equation is bad stuff happens. The flood. That flood. And the irony is it killed children. Children in a Bible camp studying about the Lord. What's going on? So, how do you explain this? Well, one, you have to live with a certain amount of uncertainty. You can't. And if someone says, well, if I can't, then I don't want to believe in a God like that. Well, here's the problem with that. If He's God, and in the words of C.S. Lewis, He created this whole shebang, as Lewis refers to the universe, then His intelligence and His ability to make things right is infinitely beyond anything we can even fathom. Right now, I'm holding a pen in my hand. It's about 5 inches long. I'm looking at this pen. I can see its color. I can feel its texture. If I jab myself with a point, I'd feel that. That's pretty much it. My understanding of this pen. Yeah, it's got ink in it. But the countless trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of atoms and subatomic particles that make up this pen are beyond my vision, beyond my understanding. And as fast as they're moving, some of these subatomic parts are vibrating at close to the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles a second. I can't see that. I can't understand that. That is beyond my comprehension. Infinitely beyond my comprehension. If I drop this pen, it's going to hit the ground. Now, I can't predict for certain it's going to hit the ground, but every time I've dropped something, it's hit the ground. So I can be relatively confident when I drop this thing, it's going to hit the ground. Why? Well, gravity. What's gravity? Smartest minds in the world don't know what gravity is. Why are bodies attracted to each other? My body is attracted to that computer monitor in front of me. But it's so slight, there's no way I can perceive it at all. Much more powerful is the huge Earth's attraction to my body, which keeps me grounded. What's my point? I can't even understand a minuscule fraction of this pen. Not to mention my body, the universe, the countless quadrillions of planets. I can't wrap my head around any of that. But yet I have the arrogance to say, well, you know, if I really can't understand why God does what he does or what he lets happen, well then, the heck with him. What? That makes no sense to me. I love science. I love biology. I love astronomy. I love physics. It's fascinating. But one thing I found from the people most knowledgeable in those areas, they'll tell you, the more they know they don't know. So we've got a God capable of doing all that, and yet we're going to question because we can't explain. I got to admit, it does bother us. Of course it does. You don't want to see people suffer? Who does? And trying to wrap your head around the idea that he's an infinitely loving God and that doesn't bother him? Can't understand it. But I do know this. He has ways. He must have ways of making all of this make sense that I can't even remotely begin to comprehend. My oldest son was born with a cleft lip and palate. When he was about 1.5, going through his many operations, they had to draw blood. Little kids don't have real prominent veins, you know. So what happened was he fought. The nurse was trying to hold him down. At the same time, she was trying to find a vein. I said, let me hold him for you. My wife had already left the room. She couldn't stand it. I said, let me hold him. So I pinned him down, pinned his arms. I said, now find a vein. And he looked at me with this look in his face, like, how could you betray me like this? I thought you loved me. And I remember thinking, Andrew, if you only knew what I knew, you wouldn't feel betrayed. How many times does God think, Ray, if you only knew what I knew, you'd trust? 877-573 7825, 877-57 Jamie, don't know what happened to you there. Come on back. I'm done talking. Give me a call. I want to hear from you. Thanks.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Are you paying high prices with a traditional health insurance company that pays for things that violate your conscience? There's an alternative available. Solidarity HealthShare is a community of faithful individuals and families that never share into immoral medical services, all while saving you money with prices starting as low as $85 per month for singles and $512 for families. Never fund another abortion with your healthcare dollars. Call 844-313-4999 to learn more. The following program is brought to you in part by MyCatholicWill.com. Surveys show that more than half of Americans do not have a will. At MyCatholicWill.com, it takes as little as 15 minutes to write your will and secure a legacy of faith. MyCatholicWill.com is the exclusive online destination for creating a Catholic will. The process of writing a will is simple and now more accessible than ever. MyCatholicWill.com, a legacy of faith for those you love.
You like pizza? Me too. And for that, we can thank our friend, Tom Monahan. First, he starts with $900 and opens one pizza shop. Then it's worldwide, thousands of shops. But all this was just a warm-up for his greatest achievement yet. He built a university.
God inspired Tom to build up generations of men and women who have a hunger to reach the world for Christ. This place is Ave Maria University.
Visit avemaria.edu to see what's next.
Thank you for joining me. Dr. is in. Dr. Ray, we'll get to your calls in just a second here. I want to add a postscript to that monologue. I forgot what it was. You believe that? I read something today that said as you get older, your capillaries start to become a little more clogged up. The small capillaries that feed your brain. Give me a second to think what I was going to add on the postscript to that monologue regarding understanding what's going on. It'll come to me. It'll come to me in a second. I'll add the postscript later. I'm going to go to Kirk now from North Dakota. Hi, Kirk.
Hi, Dr. Ray. I telling the screener I have a daughter that's I love very much. I mean, she's big boned, but she's large, and I would like to find a way to tell her that I would like to help her. I know she's aware of her weight problem, but I just don't know how to approach her without. I would never want to break her heart or offend her, and she's not real soft by any means. She's a tough girl, but still, it just I'm troubled in how I should approach this, I guess. I'll hang up and listen if that's okay.
No, don't hang up there, Kirk, because I got a bunch of questions that only you can answer. Has she ever said anything to you about being frustrated with her inability? No, she never has.
No, she never said anything to me.
Is she getting larger and larger? Is she gaining more weight with time?
Seems to be. Yep. It appears that way, yeah.
Is it something where she would say, Dad, I'm only carrying a few extra pounds, or is it something where you're looking at somebody that's 100 to 150 pounds overweight?
Well, it's 100 probably, yeah. As I said, she's big boned, but she's definitely too big. And, I mean, she's smart. She's got a master's degree. She's happy. And, maybe just leave it alone, not say anything. But, I mean, it has to affect her.
Well, no doubt does.
I'm sorry.
But the problem is she hasn't conveyed that.
No, she has not come out and said to me. She's not requested any advice or anything.
And as far as you know, she's not done anything like join some kind of club or get dietary fasting or any kind of approach to losing weight, as far as you know.
As far as I know, that's right.
Okay, so there's no signal here that at least overtly she is discontent with her body.
That's true.
See, without that, Kirk, you don't know how she's going to react to this.
No, I don't.
we have.
No, I don't.
It's frustrating me because obesity is a major health risk. It's a major health risk, and what has happened is that there is a cultural narrative that basically says you can't mention it, you can't help anybody with it, you can't do anything about it, even with kids, because it's variously labeled fat shaming. It's variously labeled some kind of bigotry, some kind of bias. So given that, you're in a position where you can't say a whole lot until she starts to say, I'm frustrating, or hey, Dad, I've joined this and that club, or hey, Dad, here's what I'm doing. Hey, Dad, I'm exercising more. Whatever it might be, she might simply say to herself, well, I'm just content with the way I am. I don't like it, but I don't dislike it enough to do something about it yet.
Understood.
Yeah. I had a daughter. I had a daughter, Kirk, who went to 420 pounds. She was 26. She didn't live at home, and she had other issues, very serious other issues. She's lost 200 pounds.
Great.
She's pretty proud of herself. But at the time she was gaining that weight, there was no way. I mean, she just did not in any way want to hear this. She had to get to a point where she said to herself, "What am I doing to me?" And the irony is, we 2/3 of American adults are either overweight or obese or morbidly obese. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this, sedentary, etc. But what's happening is that, I'll give you a small example. You said something, you said she's big-boned. She's probably not big-boned. Yeah. What tends to happen is as you gain more weight, your body's skeletal structure thickens up. And it looks like you're more big-boned. You have bigger forearms, you have bigger calves. Everything proportionately looks like, wow, that person is thick. You must have some heavy bone structure under there. Not likely. If she didn't have a weight problem, what did she look like at age 20? Because what she looked like at age 20 was a grown-up body. And that's probably her ideal weight. Now, interesting thing about this, they've done surveys where they've asked folks, what is your ideal weight? What do you think your ideal weight is? For men, their ideal weight in their mind was 30 pounds over height weight charts for ideal weight. For women, it was around there too. So what has happened is that our body image has shifted given the fact that around us more and more people are carrying a lot of extra weight, so therefore we tend to think, okay, I'm not that heavy, when you don't realize. You look at pictures from the 1940s, if you look at Coney Island or you look at ballparks or places like that, you see very few overweight people. Very few. Okay? There's a lot of things going on now in our society, and I would wonder what your daughter's mindset might be toward all of this. And I understand your worry, of course, because that's a serious health problem. It is pre-diabetic potentially. It is joint pain potentially. It is fatty liver potentially. There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I know. Well, God bless you for your concern, Kirk, but I'd wait for the opening if I were you. This is Dr. A. 877-57-EQUAL is the number to call to get onto the program. That postscript is going to occur to me here, I hope, during the break.
Father Benedict Rochelle.
Some great people have shown respect for God. Can I read you a little quotation from Albert Einstein, who many times showed a great respect for religion and was one of the great admirers of Pope Pius XII for his stand against the Holocaust during the Second World War. Einstein wrote, "The fairest thing we can experience is the mysterious. It's the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of all true art and science. A knowledge of the existence of something we can't penetrate, of the manifestations of the profoundest reason and the most radiant beauty, which are only accessible to our minds in their most elementary form. It is this knowledge and this emotion that constitute the truly religious attitude." Oh my, so beautifully said.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Christ is the answer with Father John Riccardo.
He always starts with the good things. You know, the 7 letters to the churches and the book of Revelation is a great way to write letters to other people, by the way, or to have conversations with other people. You start with what's going well. You do this, this, and this really well. I love it. Thank you. Here's what you're lacking. And I think for many of us as men, what the Lord's communicating at that second part of the letter or the second part of the conversation is, here's what we're lacking. You don't ever spend enough time with me. You have no idea what I'm trying to offer you in the gift of my friendship. Or if you do, you don't make time for it. And if you would but come to me, I would change your life like that. But you don't come. Not with the regularity that I want you to come. Not with the ardor and the fervor and the passion that I want you to come. I have a hunch, more than a hunch, that's what he says to me, and I got a hunch that's what he would say to many of us.
Thank you for joining me. It's Dr. Ray Guarendi. Before we get to your calls, a couple more announcements. Summer Speaker Series in Houston, Guadalupe Radio Network's bringing me in Saturday, July 26th at the Lone Star Flight Museum. We would love to have you there. It's a meal, beautiful museum. I get to talk a little bit, then we have a Q&A. If you're interested, you simply go to their website, grnonline.com. grnonline.com, and you can sign up. Now, before I go to our calls, I remembered the postscript. My point was, we can't begin to even remotely have any idea what God can do to make all of this fair and just, to alleviate suffering in the long run. But here's one. Of course, we don't know at all what happens after this life. Not at all. So it could be a whole different existence where he takes care of things. But let me throw this out as one possibility, not putting it out as the one, it's just a raw speculation. That is, I think the death toll for the children was 28 in the Guadalupe River's rise. Why those children? Why those particular kids? What if God knew that those kids were going to leave him, leave the faith, become hostile atheists, indifferent, pay no attention to him as they move their way through adulthood? And he said, I'll bring them to heaven now. I'm not saying that's it. I have no idea. But that's just one possible explanation for why what happened. Gail from North Dakota. Hi, Gail.
Hi.
Thank you for the call, dear. Help me out here. Help me out.
Okay. I have a daughter who's 36, and she has gained a lot of weight. I think she's probably 75 pounds overweight. she's a wonderful girl, smart, beautiful. I was trying to think of a way that I could address the weight situation, and this is what I did, and it worked. I sat her down, told her I wanted to talk to her, and I prefaced it by saying, I love you so much, and you're a beautiful girl. You wear clothes that look very attractive, you know, some things like that. I might have said one other thing. I can't remember that. And then I said, but I'm concerned about your health. I know that when you gain a lot of weight, that you're putting yourself in a situation for more heart disease, diabetes, and in my case, heart disease runs on her father's side of the family, so I mentioned that as well. And she really took it to heart. She was not angry. She was touched that I was concerned about her health and not just saying, you know, hey, you're fat, you need to lose weight. And at any rate, she has now started to work on losing weight. So just want to share that.
Gail, you approached it in a beautiful way. You approached it with health. You said this is a situation of health. This isn't, I'm looking at your physical appearance and saying, you know, you could look a lot better than you do. No, you said, I'm really concerned out of a motherly love for what you could be doing to yourself. And we tried that with a couple of my daughters, and they accepted it like your daughter did. Unfortunately, they didn't do a whole lot about it. But as they've gotten older, they've come to realize, I need to take a real grip on this. But that was a beautiful way to approach it, and you're absolutely right. Obesity is right up there with smoking as a health risk. Right up there.
Yeah.
Because it is so widespread in its effects on the body. So much. The problem, too, is that it's easier to gain it. And once you're 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds overweight, oh, gosh, to lose that, you've really got to embark on not only activity and strength training, but a much different style of eating, both in what you take in and how much you take in. Oh, of course.
Exactly.
I heard a very distressing statistic. Approximately 5% of people who determine to lose a significant amount of weight keep it off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, a lot more people are taking the Ozempic shot, and I know several that have done this, and they've lost massive amounts of weight, 80, 90, 100, 200 pounds. But again, the question becomes, what is the long-term effect of that shot? And that's just starting to come out now. Gail, beautiful approach to your daughter. Tell her to strength train. She's going to have to build up muscle. When you lose weight,
I will.
You're going to lose muscle and fat. So to keep the muscle on, and muscle is a very active metabolic tissue, you keep it because it burns about 50 calories a day just to exist, every pound of muscle. Thanks, Gail.
Yep.
All right, honey. Talk to you. Bye. Jim from, I don't even know why Jim's calling me, because he lives in Harmony, Minnesota, so I don't really think he even needs to call. Hi, Jim.
Hello, doctor. Small town, southeastern Minnesota, 3 miles from the Iowa border. So there's your geography. Anyway, my question is about yesterday, a day or two ago. Yesterday, actually, my 15-year-old daughter, just turned 15 on Friday, was picked up by a 17-year-old boy when my wife and I were actually at a funeral. So we found out about this, and we got out of the funeral. And so what a question comes in: what constitutes righteous anger? Because we found them with our handy Dan, the 360 app is very helpful. Tells you where your family members are. So we located him. I confronted him and meant to scare the out of him. and let them know on uncertain terms this was unacceptable, not meeting the parents, just picking up my daughter. Am I in the right at all there, Doctor?
Well, first of all, Jim, I'm
in the doghouse.
With who? Your daughter?
Right now.
Well, I can understand. And your wife?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Huh.
Yeah,
all right. Listen.
She didn't want. Yeah.
She didn't want. She didn't want to have disharmony in the town of Harmony.
That's exactly right. I have a history of anger, and that's thrown in my face.
All right, stay there, Jim. You got a 2-level question here. I got a hard break. I gotta do what it says. So stay right there, if you will, sir, and we'll talk when we get back.
What do we mean by intercessory prayer? The Catholic Catechism defines intercessory prayer as asking on behalf of another. It is a prayer attuned to God's mercy. It is a prayer of petition that leads us to pray as Jesus did. Jesus is the one intercessor with the Father on behalf of all mankind, especially sinners, because, says the Catechism, Jesus is able for all time to save the souls who draw near to God through him. Jesus lives to make intercession for such souls. When one prays intercessory prayer, he or she is looking out not just for one's own interest, but for the interest of others, even for one's enemies. The intercession of Christians recognizes no boundaries, says the Catechism. Prayers are extended for all men, for kings or for persecutors, and even for the salvation of those who reject the gospel. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
The Catholic Church teaches that Jesus Christ is literally and wholly present, body and blood, soul and divinity, under the appearances of bread and wine. St. John the Apostle records the John chapter 6 Bread of Life discourse, in which Jesus states that his flesh is true food and his blood true drink. Who better to understand John's writings and subsequent teachings than a disciple and student of John, St. Ignatius of Antioch? In his letter to the Smyrnians in 110 AD, Ignatius writes, "I have no taste for corruptible food, nor for the pleasures of this life. I desire the bread of God, which is the flesh of Jesus Christ. And for drink, I desire his blood, which is love incorruptible." The Catholic Church absolutely follows St. John and St. Ignatius in taking Jesus at his word. Examining the truths of the Catholic faith, this is faithforensics.org.
Dr. Ray Guarendi program, The Doctor is in. Jim has been on hold prior to the break. He's calling from Harmony, Minnesota, and he's in a bit of disharmony right now with his wife and his 15-year-old daughter. Jim, you still there?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me recap for those people who don't listen the whole hour, and you know who you are. Jim has, and it's interesting, I just want to make a side comment here. You have the 360 app so you can trace your daughter's phone. Well, she knows that now, so she's going to figure out a way to leave that phone somewhere where you think she is, like the library, and then go about her business. That said, because she's already been caught once with it. Most kids, when they're caught once, say, okie dokie, I'm going to put this phone somewhere. I know, I'll put it in the last pew of the church. I'll hide it underneath the missal. And I'll come back and get it 2 hours later. Okay, that said, you got in trouble with not only your daughter, but your wife, because this guy she's seeing as her quote-unquote boyfriend is 17. And while you guys were gone, he came picked her up. You don't even know who the guy is. Mm-hmm. Well, now there's two issues here. One, of course, is you said to me, am I right? Well, Jim, it's not my place to tell you whether you're right. You're the parent. How you raise your daughter with what kinds of terms is your business. That's one. The second level is that I can understand your daughter being upset. It sounds to me, and forgive me if I'm going to extrapolate from this, minimal information, It sounds to me like your daughter has been in the middle of disagreements between you and your wife, and this is just another one. Am I wrong? Jim?
In the middle, you said?
Yeah, she's the source of disagreements between you and your wife about her.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's as I mentioned, I have a history of anger, and I've worked improve. But every time something like this happens, it's thrown in my face. You have anger problems. You have anger.
Well,
problems.
okay. There's two separate issues here. Your style may be bad. You got angry. You got nasty. Yeah. Okay, you can apologize for that.
Yeah.
But you don't apologize for having a condition or a limit or an expectation, which is you're 15 years old. You can't go places with a guy without we knowing who they are and where you're going.
Yeah.
That's perfectly legit. Because you got angry does not eliminate your authority as a father. So if anybody throws that in your face, you simply say to them, you're right. I got mad because I love our daughter, and I was upset by what happened because I worry about her safety and her well-being. You're right.
Right.
Accuse me. Where I'm not wrong is the condition that I have set, which is she's 15 years old, and she's not going to be going around with a guy we don't know who picks her up when we're not home.
All right. Thank you.
Now, would your wife disagree with that?
I would hope not.
Is she afraid of making your daughter mad?
Well, as you well know, raising teenagers is this day and time is the biggest challenge there is. So, don't want to rock the boat. There's always there's a softer way to do it. So,
well, there is a softer way to do it, but if you say, Jim, you don't want to rock the boat, what are you saying? Are you saying, I don't want to go against what she wants because she'll get really upset?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, my friend, if that's going to be your parenting style, you're headed for a lot more friction than you got now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You cross the line with somebody, you step on their toes. If you don't say something or bark back, they're going to keep stepping on you. Even when
now,
you know.
I have no doubt that your daughter has had a smartphone for some years now. Correct?
Correct.
Yes, I know, because a smartphone is one of the prime things to make them grow up very, very fast, and make them want freedoms that their parents don't want them to have. Of course. Now, no doubt in my mind, your wife wouldn't agree with you on putting limits on that smartphone. That she wouldn't agree with it because she's just probably afraid. So what they're doing is, in my opinion, is kind of throwing a smoke screen, which is your anger, Jim, is a problem. The problem is not that she got picked up with some kid that you don't know or know where they went or what they were doing. That's not the problem. The problem is you got mad. That's a smokescreen. I think I would confront your wife with that. I'd say, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Are you saying that I don't have a right to be a dad because I did it bad? All right, I'm going to work on that. But what about the issue of her going out with some guy we don't even know? What about that?
Yeah.
Have your wife defend her position on that. Well, she knows him, and she thinks he's a good guy, and we have to trust our daughter because she'll just get resentful and sneaky, and she'll go behind our back, and I don't want to ruin our relationship with her. Now, if she says something like that, then you know you're headed towards a lot of disagreements with the kind of freedoms this young lady's going to have.
Right. Yeah. I don't think my wife is going to say go that direction, but you just can't have certain times where, again, I question. I'm thinking what qualifies righteous anger at some point. There are certain things, and
that was righteous. Jim, it was righteous anger as long as you didn't get nasty.
Yeah. Well, I intimidated him without question, and I meant to.
Okay. Who am I to say The way you are raising your child, if you're not doing anything harmful, is wrong. Who am I to say that? You can say, yeah, I got upset. I got real upset. Of course. I love my daughter, and I don't like that direction.
Yeah.
But don't let someone say you can't have authority and you can't have limits and expectations because your style wasn't good.
Yeah, thank you.
If that's the case, then all of us parents really couldn't set limits because we tend to nag, we tend to get emotional, we tend to repeat ourselves, we tend to negotiate, we tend to bargain. Well, then don't set any limits because our style's bad.
Yeah, I agree. Amen to that. That's makes it wonderfully challenging, right?
Ask your wife. Say, I want to know something. Are you saying that I was wrong in what I expected of her? I'll admit that I was wrong with my anger. I'll admit that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to admit that I was wrong in what I expected of her. Are you saying I was wrong in what I expected of her? Thanks, Jim. I appreciate the call, buddy.
Thank you.
This is Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Hello, Steve Ray here from Footprints of God Pilgrimages. Want to celebrate some amazing anniversaries this year in France? We'll visit Normandy Beach to celebrate our heroic military for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Also, the 100th anniversary of the canonization of St. Therese of Lisieux. Join us this October for our Saints and Shrines of France and a visit to the newly renovated Notre Dame Cathedral.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
You remember the time I said on the air, go to confession. And when you're done, go out and have a big ice cream soda. Celebrate. And a man wrote to me, he said, you know, I hadn't gone to confession in 30 years. Do you mind if I went and had a pizza? I said, oh, have 20 pizzas.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
Before I go to your calls, just want to do another relentless, repetitive, pleonastic plug for our President's Living Right with Dr. Ray in Buffalo on August 19th and 20th. We're coming to the WNED studios downtown Buffalo. We were there some years ago to tape 4 episodes of season number 15, Living Right with Dr. Ray. Audience participation is crucial. The audience is used for so many aspects of the program. If you'd like to be in the audience, and we've had massive response from the Buffalo folks, they are either caring, loving, concerned people, or they got no life whatsoever. Either way, appreciate you being there. You go to the Station of the Cross, onebigLongword.com. On their homepage, you can sign up. August 19th and 20th, 2 shows each night, 5, 7, 15. August 19th, Father Larry Richards is going to be there the whole night. So we're going to have a lot of fun with Father Larry. If you like Father Larry and you don't like me, if you like him more than you dislike me, come anyway. And bring the kids. Oh, heck yeah, we have so much fun with the kids. I do role plays and we do all kinds of things with the kids. Sometimes we even bring them up on stage. As Johnny Carson says, dogs and kids will upstage you every time I takes my chances. So I'm inviting you. I would love to see you there. You want to see your face on EWTN because we pan that audience an awful lot. Well, Susie's getting shunned. Susie, how are you? Hello, Susie.
I'm good. Thank you, Dr. Ray.
Well, you ain't allowed to talk to your daughter anymore.
Yes, and I'm not going to cry, but it's very upsetting. They put me on a priority restricted phone schedule, and before it all went down, and I was just wanting flexibility and more time with her. And it's my first, child out of the house and married and all that, and so I'm just trying to figure it out, So, and now they cut me off altogether. It's been 5 weeks since I've spoken to her, and
are you saying, Susie, are you saying that they, even at the start of the marriage, put you on a phone limit?
Yes. After their honeymoon, they didn't want to talk to anybody during their honeymoon, so I tried to follow that, just texting, not intrusive, and then after their honeymoon, they put me on a pretty strict. It's Wednesdays at 8 o'clock in the morning, and for 30 minutes.
No explanation?
That they really wanted me to respect their time together, and that was it.
Is there anything about your personality, your religious views, your traditionalism, anything like that they've decided we can't relate to any of that anymore, Mom?
No. They're both pretty faithful Catholics. And it's just strange because she's never been... We've always had a good relationship. And that I just can't help but think that it's just him.
Could be the explanation, that she's feeling the pressure. He doesn't like you for some reason, or he's insecure about his relationship with her and he wants her all to himself. I don't know. I'm just wildly speculating. So as far as you know, you didn't say or do anything that could be misinterpreted by them to say, okay, well, we better just put her at a distance.
Well, during the wedding, during the planning of the wedding, we've had some disagreements of, venue and, things like that. I just feel like he's pretty controlling.
And he probably feels you were.
Yes.
Okay.
I would agree with that he feels that way.
All right. So that explains that. Now we do damage control.
Yes.
I would text your daughter and say, I fully want to respect whatever conditions you both have. Let me know if and when we can talk again. But until then, I will simply respect it, and I won't make any efforts to contact you until you decide you're ready.
Okay.
That's what I would do. And she may come to the point where she says, you know what? It's been 3 months, and I know that he wants me to put my mother out of our lives, but I'm not going to do that. That's my mom. What have I been doing here? This is wrong. She hasn't bothered us. She hasn't called when she's not supposed to call. She didn't keep trying. Yeah, I think right now, Susie, if you keep trying, it's just going to push him further away. And I don't know what her motive is. And I see this a lot in marriage counseling, where you've got one of the spouses who feels pressured not to contact their own parents because of what the other spouse wants. And they yield. They have to live with that spouse, so they yield to it. But after a while, they say, wait a minute. This has gone on long enough. So I think what I would do is give them room, Susie. And probably, if I talk to your daughter or your son-in-law, they would say, well, let me tell you what she did during our wedding that we had about enough of. That's probably how they interpreted it. Even though you didn't mean anything by it, how they interpreted it. All right, Susie. God bless you, dear. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. I appreciate it.
Honey. This is Dr. Ray, all out of time. Eric Dumont, thank you. Walk with God, please. Always.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.